Been in the past, please identify yourselves and the agency that you were with, and we'll get to as many questions in 10 minutes before our student athletes as we can. And our first question will come first row, left side coach, right in front.
Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. Coach, coming to this specific institution and developing these players off the field, why it was right for you to come to North Carolina and develop these Tar Heels?
Yeah, thanks, Dan. Developing players is really what coaching is, and that's what we do. We take great pride in that, myself and our staff, and players who want to be developed. So a Carolina player is a player who wants to be a good football player, who wants to work hard, who wants to make a commitment towards improving on a regular basis, both training and team execution on the field. And so when we get those players, we see a lot of improvement, a lot of development, and that's going back, whether it was at Cleveland, where Mike and I put together an offensive line where, 4 of the 5 stars are free agents, or in New England where we had a number of, low draft choices, or high draft choices, I should say. I said Brady and Edelman, players like that, who turned out to be great players, as well as some of the other players, are higher picks that developed, like Karankowski, and so forth. So development's a big part for us, and players that want to come in, work hard, be good players, learn and compete. Competition is what makes us all better. Again, the best competition for me, I learned the most from, going against, great offensive coaches like, Andy Reid and Kyle Shanahan, Mike Shanahan, Joe Gibbs, and all those guys that I competed against. That's what made me great as a coach, or made me work the hardest as a coach, was to compete against those people. And so same thing for the players. Internal competition, the competition we have daily on the field, will get us most ready for the competition that we'll face on Saturdays or whenever the games are. So, thank you.
Coach, right side, 5th row, hard to the right side.
Hard right.
Standing up now.
Yes.
Hey, Coach. Thomas Christopher of the League Winners. I have a 2-part roster building and general football question for you. Do you believe that the evolution of the fullback position, kind of being turned more into an H-back role, was more due to roster flexibility and player versatility? And with the cyclical nature of football, do you see that position kind of being revitalized now that defenses are more finesse-driven?
Well, hopefully we won't be in the finesse-driven category. Certainly not shooting for that. But yeah, thanks for the question. The fullback question is an interesting question. It really, I think, picked up a lot of momentum when Coach Coryell started with that, and then Joe Gibbs brought it to Washington and ran a one-back offense with Riggins and those guys, all the backs he had there. They kind of rotated him through, George Rogers, all those guys. And then that game they caught on definitely throughout the NFL. And at the Giants, we faced that twice a year, and so pretty familiar with the way that one-back offense evolved. And now as offenses have gotten into more spread formations, whereas a lot of 11 personnel and almost all college defenses and pro defenses for that matter are nickel-based, with maybe a 6th defensive back in passing situations, but most everybody's playing 5 defensive backs. I think that reflects on the lack of a fullback, and even in 12 personnel, where usually one of the tight ends is a receiving tight end. So how that trend will continue, I don't know. I'd say for us, we'll do what we feel like is best for the football team, like we always do, and just see how that plays out. But it's been an interesting evolution that's gone from everything being all 2-back. I remember when I first started with the Colts, we went through all the defensive adjustments, that there was always one little box in the very bottom of the corner, or bottom corner of the page, that had a 1-back set on. Everything else is in 2 backs, whether it was brown, blue, black, green, depending on where the backs were set. There were different color codes for the formations, and there was one box for the 1-back sets, and now there's no 2-back sets. So yeah, that's been an evolution.
Coach, left side, towards the left. Sir, if you'll
Left side towards the left. Got it.
Hey, Coach, this is Grayson Mann with JockeyNet.com. Talking to Dabo Swinney earlier, he said how much he's learned from you since you've made this move to North Carolina. How has your relationship with him grown, as well as the other coaches within the ACC?
Yeah, we're all learning from Dabo. Yeah, that's very, very nice of him to say that. Very complimentary. Dabo's been a friend for a long time. We've scouted his players from the NFL down. Some of the players that are here today, you know, I actually thought, well, you know, maybe we'll be drafting one of these guys. And now here we are going to be playing against them. So, but Dabo's been great. I have so much respect for him, the Clemson program, what he's done, the way he runs it. That's high quality. Kids are high quality. You know, he came up to New England, got probably the top player out of New England, you know, in the last probably decade. You know, Christian Wilkins out of Springfield, Suffield Academy, and you know, I think that says a lot for the program that he runs, and you know what he's done for not only college football but all the student athletes that he's coached there. They've gone on to represent him and the school very well. And, you know, again, I have a ton of respect for Dabo and what he's done. Great opportunity to spend some time with him at the ACC coaches meetings, and you know, so it's been really enjoyable guy to be around. I don't know if that'll be true on Saturday afternoon, probably not, but at least in these meetings it is. Yeah.
Coach, right side, third row.
Kenton Gibbs with Locked On ACC. Coach, one of the biggest differences between the pro game and college game is you're dealing with 18 to 23, 24-year-olds as opposed to full-grown men with families and whatnot. And with an off-season that's seen a little bit of controversy and all that type of stuff, how have you ushered them through blocking the noise and keeping the main thing the main thing?
Yeah, well, I mean, the great thing about working with college players is just the growth and the development that we've seen, that I've seen with them. I saw a little bit of that last year when I was at Washington with Coach Fish and Steve out there, to see how much the players improved from the spring until the start of training camp. And this year, of course, we haven't started training camp yet, but through the course of the spring, the amount of improvement that our players made in those 15 days, most of which were in pads, is something that you never saw in the NFL because we never, could wear pads in the off season. And so, how much better the players got in their fundamentals, their footwork, their hand placement, leverage, tackling, and so forth. All the physicality things that come with different positions, whether that's press release, jams, and so forth. The improvement was tremendous. And so I'd say on the college end, you're right, the players are a little bit younger and less skilled. Sometimes that's an advantage. There are fewer bad habits to break. But I would say also the players are, I'd say, much more receptive to the coaching. They haven't had as long with the way that they were doing it, through a college career, maybe even through some pro years, where they were, starting to develop some habits they were comfortable with, and they were a little harder to change. I'd say, with our players, they've been very receptive to everything we've asked them to do. They've trained extremely hard. As I said, the personal achievements between their strength, their speed, their explosiveness, all the different body fat percentages, all different things that we measure is, in the high 90% range. I mean, there's only a couple guys that haven't, had the improvement, but really it's been pretty much the whole team. So that's been, as a coach, it's fun. It's fun to see players get better, and then that gives them more momentum to keep working. I know we've given the players a couple of weeks off, in the training cycle from time to time, and in a lot of cases they come back even a little bit further ahead of where they were when they left, which kind of indicates they continue to work hard in their training. So, we're excited to see all of that manifest itself out on the field when we actually start playing football. But I think we'll be ready to start when we get going next week. So, thank you.
Coach, thanks for the time. You can switch spots with Thad Dixon, and we will talk to our defensive back for 5 or 6 minutes before we finish out with Will and with Jordan. Folks, if you would, please identify yourselves and the